Welcome to the About podcast. Here we explore your financial health in simple and easy to understand ways.
Well, hey everybody, welcome back to the About podcast where we talk all things financial health. My name is Jeremy Scott, one of your hosts here, and of course joined ably as always by Roy. Roy, how you doing?
I'm awesome. Hooky like cookie.
There you go.
I'm excited. Let's jump in, baby.
Let's do it. We're going to be Boy Scouts today and be prepared.
I like this. Preparedness is an important thing.
Preparedness. And oftentimes on this podcast, I think when we talk about preparedness, oftentimes we're preparing for both the things that we're looking forward to, like retirement and all that kind of stuff. But we also have to prepare for those things that maybe we're, of course, not looking forward to. So this is actually going to be part of our kind of widowers series. And what do we need to be thinking about when thinking about that time that when we're no longer have our person with us?
That's right. Well, and you on one of our last episodes, everybody, we had Jeremy talk about his experience of losing his spouse. And the question that I posed to you, Jeremy, today is, people check that episode out because it's really good by itself. But then at the backside of this, how prepared were you?
Oh, we were not prepared at all. I mean, especially like, you're in your mid 40s, you don't even think that this is something that's, coming down the pipe anytime soon. I mean, I'm pretty sure, like, I think we had a will, but it literally only mentioned our first kid, not our second kid, because it was that old. And I think I shared this in the other episode. I realized when she passed, the only thing I happened to know was the 4-digit PIN for her phone.
Thank
I didn't
goodness.
know. Exactly. I didn't know her computer password. I didn't know any of the password to our accounts. I had to impersonate her literally once on the phone, just to get access to one of the accounts. And thankfully, I had her phone and I could two-factor, so I could do those two-factor password changes. But if I hadn't had those, it just would have been even worse.
Yeah. Well, and just yesterday I met with somebody who pulled out, they had their spouse pass away.
Mm-hmm.
And they pulled out the phone for the husband. And they said, if I lose this phone, I'm up a creek.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a common theme.
Yeah.
So I guess my question would be to you, you kind of brought that up first thing. Is that kind of the biggest thing that you were like, oh my goodness, if I hadn't have had that, I would have been really hurting?
I think it was one of the biggest things for that reason, because for how many things are connected, in our digital life. Because it also just realized how much I didn't know, because she took care of the day-to-day finances. She knew, she had all the passwords and everything saved on our computer, and I never really had to deal with it or think about it. So that was the biggest piece. And then the other really, really big piece was, all of the medical stuff with my kids. Because, my late wife was a nurse practitioner, that was her wheelhouse. Over time, you tend to divvy up labor in a marriage, and she just took all the medical stuff. So she made all their well child visits and went to them all their things and was in all of their medical records and all that kind of stuff. And I realized I didn't even have access to my kids' medical records because I wasn't set up to be the parent. She was. And actually, that still isn't resolved.
Really?
3 years later, I'm still sending sending information back and forth and letters back and forth with the big medical provider in our area, because they just won't take my late wife off as my daughter's primary care person, and I'm like, well, that doesn't work, and because it's such a big rigmarole, because it would have been simpler if she had just added me back in the day. Right. But they get worried about one parent, taking the other parent off if there's getting divorced or, things like that. So they make it really, really hard. That would have been a lot easier before. That was a pain in the butt after.
So you could have had that done in advance.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's the biggest thing, making sure you have access and, rights to, everything that you need to have from a financial perspective. But if you've got kids, especially all your kids' stuff, because, and everybody's nice and kind, and you go to so I just would just go to the first time I had to go to medical visits with my kids. I'm like, can you tell me what's up with my kids? Because I guess I don't know. Because again, she handled all that.
Wow. We're going to have a future guest about IT. And that's actually one of the things I want to talk to them about is what should a married couple do for their digital, password life?
Right.
right? Do we have one single password saver generator thingy, right? How secure is that? Those are some questions I hope to have answered for folks in the future too. So make sure you kind of stay tuned in. But that's an ongoing biggest probably issue that I see people have is how do I get into accounts?
Yes.
And if you don't have the access like that, it's like moving heaven and earth almost.
Yeah. And I think that's the most immediate thing that tends to happen. And then over time, you just find more. I mean, I think I figured out the medical stuff when the dentist like finally called me and says, your kids haven't been in here for, 18 months. And I'm like, oh, they haven't? Oops. I'm like, I didn't book that before.
Yeah. So I think this is going to be really good because the preparedness piece of this is not only, how am I prepared for yourself? Like you went through it.
Yeah.
So like, geez, my life could have been a lot easier. God forbid that ever happened again.
Right.
But on the other side of that coin, what could you do in your current situation to make sure that you're leaving the situation better? God forbid something happens to you. So that's kind of the angle I want to think through a little bit today. And for you, let me ask you some questions.
Oh, goody.
We are talking about kids because that's always the number one thing. So it sounds like she took care of the health stuff. But who had control of the kids' financial accounts?
Oh, that's well, I think I was. I think I'm the other one on because I took them to the bank to set up their checking and savings accounts, and then we were both on their 529s.
So that's just another concept, right? So if you're doing the financial thing, how do they have access if something happened to you?
Right.
You just think through that, right?
But if it had been the other way around, she would have been in trouble.
Right.
Because, I was the parent on those on my kids' accounts, and now you've got no parent, and you've got minors, the one left on the account are, under 18. So I mean, I imagine it would have been a bit of a pain.
Yep. And the 529s are pretty nice because technically you weren't both on there because they don't allow that, but you were probably someone was labeled as the backup. And then it's just seamless.
Yes.
Right. And the same thing is probably something that can be done on the bank accounts.
Right.
I don't actually know the specifics on bank accounts. I've actually never looked into it, but that's something we should probably look into. But what about who cooked in the family?
Oh, that was me.
So now, if you somehow
my late wife had a lot of talents and was an amazing woman. Cooking was not one of them.
But
well documented fact.
Would she burn water if she boiled it? Kind of thing?
Not quite, but yeah, it was not her gift or interest.
So then, did she cook occasionally though to at least keep that up?
Oh yeah.
And how did you guys divvy that up? Was it even thought about, or was it just whoever's available cooks tonight?
No. Well, no. I mean, the default was I was doing it unless I asked her. Unless I had something going on. I said, I can't do it tonight, honey. So she's like, all right, what's in the freezer?
Okay, cool. So you're a young family, but now, so for someone who's not a young family, let's say you're now either adults, empty nesters, or let's say you're a retired couple, right? And this is a serious thing that I run into. And it was just the other day, I was talking to a couple about this and they were kind of joking around. She's like, he'll starve if I die. He won't know how to cook a lick.
I hear that around the church all the time.
Right. Yeah. So, or he's like, she won't be able to leave the house because she hasn't driven in 15 years, kind of thing, right? Yeah. So that's the preparedness that we're talking about because you think you're helping your partner to a point because you're taking that burden off them, but occasionally they need that burden on them to keep that skill honed.
Right.
Because the worst thing is having to have a client who hasn't driven themselves because the spouse did, and now have to do it. Now, older generations, older couples, there's situations where the other spouse didn't drive, literally.
Right.
Now, younger generation like you and me, that's typically not the case because there's a lot of times double incomes and you're having to drive.
Yeah.
Right. So you do that. But for older generations, it's a real thing. So, some of our listeners, think about that. If you're that person that hasn't driven, or if you're that person that drives all the time,
right.
Maybe you need to allow your spouse or your partner to be able to do that occasionally so they just keep that skill honed.
Right. Well, or if you're the ones that always, vehicles require maintenance, right? So if you're the one that's always doing the vehicle maintenance and keeping up on, when the oil needs changed, when the tires need rotated and all that.
Filling the gas tank.
Well,
I mean, that's a real thing too.
That is a real thing.
Right? My grandma, I remember my grandma telling me this because my grandma passed away in 2015. She was in her 90s. Mm-hmm. But she primarily grew up in a world where they pumped your gas. Right? So in a lot of small towns, sometimes that still happens. And we came from small town, rural America. But if you haven't pumped gas, that's actually a conundrum in itself. Because how the heck do you do it today if you haven't done it?
Right.
There's this credit card. There's this push the button. Which button do I push? Do I have to put a pin or code in? Like,
do I need 85, 87, 89?
Exactly.
Doesn't make a difference.
Exactly. So those are not like big life altering things that you need to think about like solving today, but you need to be aware, like, what do we do? What does my car take?
Right.
How do I do this? Should you actually maybe do that occasionally if you're not the one that does that?
Right.
And not saying that you need to do it all the time, but like you're doing it so that your skills are honed. Or if you're the one that does it all the time, you're not doing it to burden your spouse. You're doing it to just make sure that they know how to do it.
Right.
The similar thing comes to like blowing out your sprinklers. Yeah.
I only just learned how to do that last year.
Really?
Yeah, I got tired of paying somebody.
Well, yeah. And it's not hard, right?
No, it's not hard.
But it just, you got to know what you're doing.
You do.
Or when do you do it?
Well,
When do you turn on your sprinklers? Right? When do you change your oil in this car that we were just talking about?
Right. I think all that stuff is really important. And I have seen, I have had multiple instances, in the church where, especially if somebody's, given a diagnosis and they only have a short amount of time, like how they try to speed run all of this. Right. I think especially for guys, if they're the ones that got the diagnosis, they only have so much time. They she doesn't know where the hammer is. She doesn't know how to, do this or that. And they just kind of try to speed run it all, at a time when they've got a lot of other stuff going on, like dealing with this diagnosis and everything else. And so, thinking ahead just a little bit to say, oh, this is a mission critical activity for, this family that somebody has to be able to do it, making sure you're not the only one who knows how to do it.
Yep.
So, yeah.
It is a very real thing that I deal with all the time.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. It's interesting seeing people who are of the oldest generation that we have left, and the dynamic there versus the next. Yeah. Well, and the biggest one for the oldest generation is the technology.
Yes.
They don't do it. They don't.
No.
Right. So now if you now listen up, everybody. If you're a child of that generation, you need to be involved in what's going on with your parents and what they have set up, so that you aren't the one that's just got a disaster on your hands.
Right.
Because the reality is the surviving spouse is not going to know how to deal with it. You as the child are going to be the one that has to deal with it.
Right.
It's just a reality that I see today.
So just, asking those questions about, and just asking the questions like, okay, what accounts do you have and where are they? And, just even if you know where to go to look.
Yep.
And I realized there was, we didn't have secret accounts or anything like that, But I did realize I think we had this one kind of special savings things this one time I kind of remember, and I had to go digging through the email and I'm like, oh, yep, there it is. And there wasn't much in there, but it was just like, oh yeah, I need to know about this. So I'd say the other big one too is making sure that you're both on anything that has title, like a car or house.
That's
whatever.
exactly where I was going, dude.
Make sure you're on both of them.
You were learning.
Because I realized we had one vehicle where she was the only one on it, and we had one vehicle where I was the only one on it.
And that's problematic.
And it was a pain. And of course, the one that she was on was the one I didn't want to keep. And it literally took a month longer to get rid of the stupid thing just because
processing it into your
just
name.
trying to figuring out, because you got to bring the right form of the documents and that one you can't do online.
Yep.
you got to go wait.
You got to drive all the way to the center and all that stuff. Yeah, because that was actually one thing I ran into just this week, by the way. I was just helping a couple, some pro bono work to help them. They had some basic questions, and I asked them about their home and how it's titled. They're like, well, it's titled in both our names. I'm like, well, let's just double check. I don't actually know why. I don't always do that. They tell me, and they're like emphatic that, yeah, we're both on it. I trust them. So we just looked on the county website, and not all counties allow this, by the way, everybody, but the county we live in allows it. So we go and look on the county website. We can see how it's titled. Mm-hmm. It's titled in the husband's name. Oh. She's like, the wife was like, I'm confident that I'm on the tax form every year. You can pull up the tax form too on the website. So we went to that spot and got the tax form, and it's like just his name. Oh. And she's like, oh, that is the form, and that is just his name. But I thought I just assumed I was on it. And come to find out, it sounds like they have the paperwork that they originally filled out that has both of them on it, but it's not on it at the county level. Oh. So now we're digging into this, so that it might just be a clerical error or something. Yeah. But the point is, everybody, they're alive and they can deal with this.
Right.
And it's going to be easier to deal with.
Right.
But we just checked the title of the home. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And we made sure that it's in both names. It's not right now, so we're going to figure out what's going on. But like if they don't get it fixed and she had this problem and he passed away and she's not on the home, now she has to go through probate to get the home into her name.
Yeah.
Which isn't a big deal, but it's still one more hoop to jump through that you didn't need to do.
Right. About something fairly large, like where you're living.
Usually the largest asset.
Yeah.
Too, right? Your home is a lot of people's largest asset. So anyway, just titling. That's why it's so important. And it's not just home. It's cars, it's land, it's any hard assets, it's bank and financial accounts. And if you don't have each other's names on them, there's sometimes reasons why. Yeah. But how is the beneficiary set up so that, again, worst case scenario, it can more seamlessly get to your spouse?
Right. And that's what you want. And that's the thing is, I think, you're with this person, you love this person, you care about this person. That's why you're with them. So, I think sometimes it's easier for me to imagine, what I need to do, should I be the one to go, then it's easier. That's easier for me to like think through or reason through than it is to think about like losing Emily.
Yep.
Right. And so I'm just like, okay, now but it's fine as long as we both do it. Like we both like, okay, if I wasn't here, what would Jeremy need to know? Like, never wear that shirt with that pair of pants. That.
We were joking about wardrobe today.
We were.
His wife helps him dramatically.
Thank God.
He has upped his game.
I do what I can. But on some of the stuff you can write up, and I've heard of people doing say write it up, and they just put it in, with whatever the will and whatever, documents they have, write up instructions for, this is how you turn the sprinklers on and off. This is what this is what that is. Here's the cars. Here's where you take them to get maintained and, all that kind of stuff. I mean, you can just slip that right in there and it's a nice little thing to leave.
Yeah, then that's something that we've thought about around here to try to maybe create a document to help people with some of that stuff. Just be like, here's the things to think through.
I think a worksheet or something would be brilliant.
We've created a checklist before about like, I don't remember what we titled it actually even now, but it's if you're gone now here's all the things. Yeah. But this is more of a preparedness. What are the things that we do in our daily lives that our loved one needs to know about? Right. And, it's very similar for everybody. You have the maintenance things, right? You have the financial things. And then you have the activities of, who's doing the work, right. The driving, we just talked about some of that stuff. So I don't think it'll be that hard. So, Blake marked that down. But
yeah. Well, and then also like who does the shopping? Like, who does the shopping and where does your favorite thing come from? Like if you have a more traditional thing, oftentimes, the woman in the house is the one who tends to do the grocery shopping and knows where all the stuff is and all that kind of stuff. And you're like, or do you know how to make that favorite thing that your spouse makes? And I think actually my daughter, we were making something the other day, and she's like, "Oh, this is my favorite thing you make, Dad. Like, where's the recipe?" And I'm like, "It's not. There's no recipe. I didn't write this down. You just make it." And she's like, "Well, great. So if we lose you, we can never have it again." And I'm like, "Well, that got dark." What are you planning, daughter?
That was aggressive really quickly.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, what's going on? But she's not wrong. It's kind of funny that just happened the other day, actually. But she's not wrong.
And and I've experienced that. Like my grandmother on my dad's side made a burnt sugar cake for our birthdays. Yeah. Upon her death, we never really attempted it otherwise. Yeah. And now my mom and a couple other people in my life have tried it, and it's just not the same, right? But they never learned from her how to do it.
Yeah, my wife Emily now, she actually makes this pound cake thing that was like her great grandmother's recipe that was never written down. So she literally went and spent like an entire day, watching her and writing down and measuring what she was just throwing in there and all that kind of stuff. So she would have a recipe on how to make, Grandma Mott's, famous pound cake, and she makes it. It's really good.
It's so funny. I think we can go down this rabbit trail on food a lot.
Yeah, we do.
My great aunt used to run a sale barn food.
Oh yeah.
For we're selling cattle and things like that in again rural America, and she had a cinnamon roll that it's the best. Yeah. We did get the recipe. However, you know how it is. It says, a handful of this. Yeah. And you're like, well, her hand is not my hand, right? So you're like, well, what does that actually mean? So that type of stuff, if you actually do it with them, you can kind of learn and iron it out. But those are all interesting. So I think simplification is a theme that people really need to take to heart. Yes. And I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. And somebody said it to me in a different way recently too, but I said, you don't want all your eggs in one basket, but you want all your hens in one hen house.
Right.
So we need to know what's going on. We need to be able to herd those chickens.
Right.
But we don't want to have the risk on our home, our lives be too extreme. But we do that by knowing where all of that's at. And simplification is not risk, right?
No.
And actually over diversification, meaning having so many things out there. Somebody put it recently as fragmentation. You don't have diversification, you have fragmentation.
Right.
We have this here, this here, this here, this here. What are they all doing?
Right.
Nobody knows. That's literally the answer. Nobody knows. Yeah. So if we can simplify those things, then that's going to make it so that now we can make sure the risk isn't too extreme. But if God forbid the worst happens, now we have a simpler situation to deal with. I have a client right now currently dealing with, there's been multiple financial institutions, multiple little one-off things, multiple banks. It's just a lot,
Well, I mean, I think I've shared multiple times on this podcast, but I mean, the best thing that we ended up doing was just so happened about a year before Dane passed, we consolidated all our retirement stuff because she had like 18 different retirement accounts from all these different places. And we did it with you. We worked poor Becky.
And the interesting thing though is how hard was it for you to deal with that stuff with me?
Super easy.
Super easy.
Yes.
Right? It's all the other places where you call 1-800 somebody who doesn't know you.
Right.
It just gets difficult.
It does.
They don't know you, right? But I know you.
Right.
And we don't have to go through those hoops just to get to the point of like, okay, you are the person that can do this. Right. So that's just another simplification thing, but that's why people work with people like me, because that's something they value. Not everybody does, and that's okay. But it's one more way you can simplify.
I think, if nothing else, if you can look at it as a gift, like especially if you're looking at, what are the things that I do? What do I need to document? What do I need to make sure people know how to do if I'm not around anymore? That's really a gift that you're giving to the people who come after you. And honestly, even if you just write all that stuff down again and just stick it in the folder, how amazing will it be at a time when everyone's, sad and upset and, that you're gone now, and they go to pull out the folder and they're like, oh my God, look how much he cared. He cared enough to make sure I knew how to turn the sprinklers on and off and when to do it. Right. I mean, you don't have to make a big deal out of it, but I think just doing those things just says, I care about you, even, beyond when we get to be together.
Yep.
And, and hopefully you put that together and it gets way out of date because you don't need it.
Yep. Well, when you approach things too, it's like I've had many a conflict with couples in front of me.
Oh yeah.
But when you approach it with, hey, I'd like you to blow out the sprinklers with me, which God, who wants to do that anyways, right? And when you bring in the spouse that has nothing to do with that world in the household, it's like pulling teeth maybe. But when you do it from a place of love, like, I want you to do this with me because I just want you to at least see, and not, if I'm gone, it's not the first time you've ever seen it.
Right.
At least you can see it. You know that this occurs so that it's not going to be this foreign thing to you at the very least. And when you come from that place, it's much more like, okay, I'm willing to do that. Right. Or I want to consolidate these things because, okay, that's something we should really consider.
Right.
Just a different approach. Yeah. But it does definitely help people, and it just makes people feel a lot better in the back end.
I think so. I think preparedness is always important. I mean, and it can help tremendously on the other side. And so it's just one more thing to just kind of think through in your kind of normal, thinking, what might happen, kind of stuff. And I was just at at a big event for our annual conference gathering, and the people who do our health and pension benefits were there. And they're like, now you make sure everybody, they were talking to us and like, make sure you have like an estate plan. I'm like, oh, like they were handing out stickers. Like, if you've done your own estate planning, you can have a sticker. And I'm like, we need 3 of those stickers because we are so estate planned. You don't even know. But a lot of that was running through the scenarios of, well, what if this, what if that, and then so extending that beyond just the simple like life insurers and beneficiaries to, oh yeah, what if like I'm gone? Like, does she know, where this thing plugs in, or how to,
So another question for you, because I just like to put you on the spot sometimes.
I know you do.
Who did the laundry?
Oh, I do not do the laundry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now you know how to do the laundry?
In a pinch, I could do some laundry.
So that's another place that I see that one person does it, the other person doesn't.
Yeah, I will say I did not realize how big a job that actually was, and I feel I completely understand why my previous spouse complained so much about it, because I like shrunk one thing early in our marriage, and so I was not allowed to do laundry after that. I'm like, that's great, but I'm like, man, I was like, if this is one person's laundry, imagine doing two people's laundry. I mean, no wonder she hated doing this.
Well, and then the worst part, a lot of people like doing the laundry and understanding how to use the washing machine and dryer,
right?
Or the clothesline,
right?
Right, is one thing, but folding. Oh, what a nightmare!
I do not adequately fold.
I don't like to fold myself.
No, I'm terrible. But even like how to plunge a toilet. We had that last night. And everybody just looks at me, and I'm like, oh, like so this is my job.
How to change a tire.
How to change a tire. That's a good one too. So,
or even like how to put air in a tire when the air is low.
Yes.
That's a little thing, but if you don't address it, then it just gets worse and worse and worse.
Right.
Now you have a flat tire and you have to change the tire.
Those lights on your dashboard are important.
They mean something.
They do mean something. But yeah, I mean, well, and even like, if you have, a car that doesn't tell you which tire, then you're like, what does that light mean? And how do I figure out which tire is the one that's low? And, where do I find the little sticker that tells me how much should be in there? Right. I mean, I think we're guys, so we're going through a lot of guy stuff here. But I think, the other side of it is, even still today, something will happen, somebody will get hurt, and Emily will look at me, she's like, oh, do you have any of, this? And I'm like, if I did, I wouldn't know that I did. So if I brought it into the marriage in that bin over there, you're welcome to look, but I have no idea what you're talking about because I didn't do the bandaging.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah. So anyways, it's very interesting to see what people do and don't do, and how interesting it is now today with some of my younger clients who do both.
Right.
But sometimes the laundry thing is like, well, it's just like I have the time to do it. Whichever one of the person in the relationship has that time, they're the ones that kind of just get to do it.
Right.
Cooking's the same thing like you just said.
Yeah.
Like, well, I had the time, and if I didn't, then she got to do it.
Yeah.
But,
And I think kind of a warning too for I think for younger people, they probably think, oh, we just do everything. We all split everything up. Like there is something that one of you is always the one doing. There is something that is, your thing that only you know how to do if you really think about it.
Got another one for you.
Okay.
Who did the taxes?
Oh, that's an interesting one. Previously, we had both done them. But we had somebody do them. And then when we started doing them ourselves, I did them. So
again, you were in a situation where what was going on.
I knew what was going on.
If it was her, she would have been in a world of hurt probably.
Right. Because, because I'm really, okay, so now that you say that, I'm like, that's interesting because, we're TurboTax people, but like the file is on my laptop. And I don't know that she would have known where to find it. And it's a lot easier if you can load up last year's file and then, amend for this year. So yeah, I mean, that would have been
another one, but that's a big one. And I would actually say that's probably one of the biggest ones I see stress on my clients. Just because it's like, if you weren't the one that dealt with it, you don't exactly know. And then it's kind of like, do I owe money? Do I not owe money? Like what's going to happen?
Right.
And it's just kind of freaky.
Well, because people do it differently, even the first year I did my joint taxes. We did my taxes jointly with Emily, my wife now. She's like, oh, how big a refund are we getting? And I'm like, we're not. We only have to pay $100. She's like, I never have to pay. And I'm like, oh, I always I do not give free loans to the government. I don't want a big refund back. Like that's not how this works. And she's
Exactly.
like, oh, okay. And it's just a different philosophy on, so if something happened to me, she'd be like, oh, well, at least I'm getting my tax refund. I'm like, well, no, not the way not the way we were doing our tax planning. You weren't.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, it's just, we could go on and on, I'm sure, but I think everybody gets the gist here. The concept is, how can you, in your current relationship, prepare your partner?
Yes.
So you want to leave the situation in a way where they're prepared if something happens to you.
Yes.
Right. So, and then you can think about it from the opposite side too, of like, what don't you know in the household that you should?
Right.
Right. And then, learn those things. And I would actually encourage people to do a little test. Just go through your day, a normal day. What do you do in a normal day that you could ask your spouse to do and they wouldn't be able to?
Oh, that's interesting.
just as a
Yeah.
just test it out, see what it is, and that'll probably uncover some stuff for you.
Yeah.
Or let's even say they don't want to do it, maybe.
Yeah.
Or they shrunk a shirt on purpose. Wink, wink, Jeremy.
No.
And you got banned from laundry at that point. But just maybe try that out, everybody, and see if you can figure out like what is it that I don't know, or what is it that I do know that they need to know.
Yeah.
And approach it from a place of love and not. I mean, I just get it. It's like when you're couples. This couple the other day, they were in their 80s, 90s.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the banter! It was a riot.
Yeah.
It was wonderful, and it wasn't in a bad way. It was in a good way, right?
No.
But it was like one of them would start saying something and they wouldn't even finish it, and the other one would already know what they were saying.
Oh.
It's like this shorthand that they have, and I'm just kind of like, I don't know what's going on now. But it's just, so when you bring this stuff up, sometimes it can come like, well, you just want me to do all the work, versus, being prepared and taking a little bit more maybe serious approach when you do approach something like this.
Well, and I think maybe being clear with your spouse why you're asking them. You're like, not because anybody's planning for anybody to be gone, but just, hey, it would be nice if you, if you knew how to do this and I knew how to do that. Yeah. Just for safety's sake or whatever. Yep. But yeah.
That's why we gotta get this worksheet, because then you can blame it on me and you'll be like, Roy said we need to know these things and check it off.
I think it's brilliant, and I think the other place that you can do that with is the other place that this will come up is definitely with spouses, but also children of when there's only one parent left, right? Because somebody's going to have to inherit the whatever. And actually I actually just went to AI and I'm like, I'm going to visit my mother and I need to know all these things, like help me. And it like helped actually make me like a little worksheet and like, ask about this and ask about this and ask about this. And where are the accounts and all this other stuff. And I just had her fill that out. And then I just slipped it right with our POA into the folder.
Well, and we talk a lot about widowers, we talk about married couples, but there are people who have chosen just to be single.
Yeah.
And those people need help too, right? So they don't have kids, but maybe they have siblings, maybe they have nieces and nephews, maybe they just have friends, but those friends are going to have to do those same things. So it's how are you preparing those people that are going to be taking care of you or your affairs,
right?
In the best way possible. Now, they don't need to know how to cook a meal.
Right.
But they do need to know, like, where are your digital passwords?
Right.
Where, those things still have to be dealt with, even if you don't have the children or the spouse. And you just have to look through it a little bit different lens.
Yeah.
But it still applies.
No. It very much does. It very much does. And it is needed. And again, it's an act of love.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you care about this person, because they will figure it out. I mean, I always love it when I've heard wives say that to me. It's like, if I wasn't here, he'd starve to death. And I'm like, no, he actually will figure out, how to eat, but probably not as well as when you were.
It's called Hungry Man. It's in the freezer section.
Right. But if you want to make sure he knows how to make that one thing he really loves, make sure it's written down or show him how to do it or whatever. It's an act of love.
Or he can provide it to somebody who knows how to cook and they can make it for him.
There you go. That's not a bad idea. All right, Roy. Well, another of our ongoing series on preparedness and looking forward and all of that. And again, I think as is a theme in this world is there's some things I get people don't maybe want to think about, but
it's always the stuff I talk about.
It's you gotta. I mean, it's part of being a couple, part of being responsible, and it's just really it's important to do.
Yep. If you're making a decision to do it, good on you. If you're making a decision not to do it, the decision is still being made for you, and it's going to be just harder.
Right.
That's all.
It is.
Just be aware of that and do your best and forget the rest.
Yeah. There you go. You will miss
that's
something.
That's a P90X reference.
There you go. Well, you and inevitably you will forget something, and that's okay too.
That's right.
That's no problem. So.
That's right.
Well, if you know somebody who might be, in this world or situation, maybe somebody's just gotten married or, maybe getting towards the end of life, you share this podcast with them and give them something to think about and, like and subscribe. That really does help us out here. And if this brought up anything for you or there was an unopened, an unanswered question in all of this, please reach out and let us know. We love your questions. It really kind of helps us drive and develop the content for this whole thing. All right. Well, thank you, Roy.
Thank you, sir. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Credentialed Wealth Advisors is a Securities and Exchange Commission registered investment advisor. The content provided is for informational purposes only and should not be construed as an offer for investment advice or the purchase or sale of any security, insurance, or other investment product. All investments involve risk, including the potential loss of principal. Before implementing any strategy discussed, individuals should consult with a qualified financial, tax, or legal professional. While the data presented is sourced from materials believed to be reliable, its completeness and accuracy cannot be guaranteed.